Hi people, it's me again, of course, Moreno Ravenberg. Yeah, pleasant morning. I didn't feel like recording inside for some reason. What time is it again? I think it's like 8 a.m. in the morning. Beautiful nature. Anyways, yeah, you can tell based on the header of this video what it's gonna be about. It's gonna be about the idiotic notion and the hopelessly outdated old school notion of respecting your elders. Okay, every one of us, or the majority of us, are familiar with that concept where people say you need to respect your elders, essentially respect people that are older than you. um, and I'm simply going to briefly explain because it's dawning on me that I can't recall having done a video or simply speaking my mind about this subject. And again, it's not my opinion. I deal with fact, plain and simple, as always and as usual. um, yeah, the whole concept, yeah, let me just dive right in. The whole concept of respecting your elders is total bullshit. Okay, it's total and absolute and utter nonsense. The thing is that people back in the day, people that were born around World War I or World War II, they have that idiotic notion. And it especially applies to, at a global level, people from lower classes. The thing is that they were treated that way by their parents, and they simply continue the cycle of worthlessness. It's like, let's just say it's a parental form of gaslighting or manipulation, or an age-based form of gaslighting or manipulation, where people think that they have some kind of moral high ground over you because they're older. Newsflash, it doesn't matter whether you're 80 years old and I'm 8 years old. Respect is a two-way street. It's give and take and give. You can't expect any person, regardless of age, gender, or standing, to respect you when what you're saying, for example, or your opinion or take or viewpoint on something is total nonsense. Okay, if hypothetically speaking, if an 8-year-old commented on this video and said, "I think you're wrong, it's all bullshit," I would treat that kid just like any other person. The same would apply if it's a 90-year-old man or a woman. It does not matter. Does not matter. But again, most of you watching this are familiar with the concept of not talking back to your elders, and just simply not saying anything if you disagree with them. They can tell you off, and you're supposed to shut your mouth. And if you say something, they're going to be like, "How dare you talk back to me?" Like you don't have any rights, essentially. Listen, the parents that treat or just plain parents that treat their children this way, and that essentially tell their children, "Listen, I'm older than you, so I know better. You need to keep your mouth shut and simply do as I say." That's nonsense. Obviously, that's manipulation. That's gaslighting. Parents essentially that view their children as objects rather than actual people with their own rights, needs, and wishes and desires. They treat them like that. Okay, because their own parents treated them like that, and the cycle of worthlessness just continues, where you can simply where they essentially abuse you, and you're simply supposed to take it because they're your parents. They can do with you whatever they want. Believe me, you will not believe the nonsense you'll hear from certain individuals. They're your parents. They have the right to essentially seek you out, etc., etc. And it just goes on. And it's hard to believe that people are capable of being that offensively worthless and stupid. But yeah, these are people, not people. They're parasites, not actual people. But again, any person that essentially does this, you know what time it is. Okay, that's why. I mean, look at these people, their lives. Most of them are beyond useless and beyond worthless and beyond everything, and lacking in value, and absolutely and utterly worthless. If I, for example, have children, if my children, it doesn't matter that they're my children and I'm older than them, they have the right to call me out on my bullshit, on my nonsense. If my children tell me, "Hey, listen, I'm sorry, Dad, but you're wrong," they have the right to do so. It's not talking back. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. It doesn't matter what age they are or whatever they are. They have the right to talk back to me or speak their minds regarding whatever. Okay? If an 8-year-old kid on the street, for example, when I'm older, like I'm 50 years old, if an 8-year-old says, "I'm sorry, sir, what are you doing? What kind of bullshit are you actually saying? What are you talking about? That's nonsense." I'm not going to say, "How dare you talk that way to me, young man? I'm old enough to be your grandfather." None of that bullshit applies. That's another one. Okay, I'm old enough to be your father, or old enough to be this. It's just offensive, okay, how people can be that worthless in terms of thinking in such an with such offensive backward notions. Now, I'm not saying that, for example, it depends on the situation and the context. I'm not saying that, hey, you can do and say whatever you want, whenever you want, however you want. Depending on the situation, I'm not going to, for example, talk in an offensive manner to an old person, someone that's 90 years old. I'm going to address the person politely based on the situation. But if the person says something that I horrendously disagree with, or that is just plain and simply wrong, I'm going to hammer the person into the ground. I don't give a rat's ass what you are. The rules apply to everyone. It would apply to an 18-year-old in the same fashion that it would apply to an 80-year-old and vice versa. But you just, again, people that essentially treat their children that way and have these kind of mentalities are people that were treated by their own elders essentially like that, and the cycle of worthlessness just continues. And it's like I said, it's a gaslighting or manipulationary tactic that people simply use to gain like the upper hand over someone that is younger than them. The whole concept of other than what I already mentioned, the whole concept of simply someone asking someone older, for example, a child asking a teenager asking their parents, hey, can I go to the water park? No, you can't. Why not? Because I said so, that's why. That's not an answer. That automatically means that your parent, your mother or father, does not view you as a person, as in, hey, the person views you as property. And can you imagine if you would enjoy being treated like that? You have the right to know what the reason is, but not, hey, because I said so. End of story. Shut up. Okay? The whole concept of back talk or talking back to people, of so-called respecting your elders, all of that is pure nonsense. It's manipulation. It's similar to when women, for example, try to manipulate men, and as stupid as men are, unfortunately, I know that obviously since I'm a man, but I'm not one of those imbecilic men. The same way that women manipulate men on a regular basis, or try to manipulate men by turning things around on them, by essentially using sex as a weapon, or using sex as a tool to get whatever they want. It just goes on and on and on. Okay, it's manipulation. It's essentially preying on someone's weaknesses. And the elderly, or people that are generally speaking older than someone else or another group of people within a subjective context, they do that stuff again just so that they have some kind of upper hand over those that are younger than them, and they think that they can do and say whatever they want, and they can get away with whatever they want. Obviously that kite won't even remotely, metaphorically speaking, fly with someone that is of the same age or anything like that. When I grew up, I didn't have any of that stuff. Okay, you can literally take me as a role model and as an example. I literally didn't have any of that, and of course, as a result, those kind of people really did not like me. It was always like, this stupid kid thinks he can talk back to me, he can treat me like I'm crap, he can do this and do that, because I showed no mercy. I don't care whether you're 110 years old. I don't care. You can be the oldest person registered on the planet. I will talk to you any fucking way I please, and there's not a damn thing you or anybody else can do about it by Almighty God's will. Plain and simple. I say and do as I please. I'm not going to, just because I'm, for example, younger than you, or I find myself in a different position, doesn't automatically give you some kind of high ground over me, and I'm just supposed to shut up and sit quietly like I'm some slave. Ooh, I'm not allowed to say anything. Like you own me, like I'm some kind of inanimate object that you can do it as you please, regardless of whether you're right or wrong. Nope. I literally spoke that way to my parents. I spoke that way to any person that was either older than me or in a so-called delusionally higher position, or a deluded higher position. Nah. And my parents, for example, sense what time it was. If they had the audacity to say something, or say, hey, you don't talk back to me, or something like that, I would have mercilessly wailed on them. I would have told them the mere fact that I have to point out to you how to behave as a parent, not just a parent, a human being, is already offensive enough. I mean, the things I would have told my parents, I would have mentally wailed on them. And there's not a damn thing they would have been able to say. They would have just gone into they would have just went and metaphorically cried in a corner, or felt offended. I don't give a rat's ass. Okay? Like I said, people from the lowest classes of society especially have this at a global level. and people that in the current age or era were born like over 50 years ago. They have that idiotic mentality, and some stupid kids also fall for it. No, I can't say anything. He's bigger than me. He's older than me. I'm thinking, I don't really have an opinion. I just think to myself, suit yourself. It's your funeral. If you want to be treated like crap, then yeah, knock yourself out. And again, with all of these people, these so-called people, the second you ask them, the second you inquire, you get to know them, you're going to hear that what time it was. Their parents or their grandparents, like a century ago, treated them like garbage. It just goes on. The same people that I'm referring to, that I've met in my own personal life, that when I was growing up told me that. Not my parents, but other people, like older people and stuff like that. You can't talk to me that way. I have kids that are older than you. I'm like, so what? So what? That automatically gives you some kind of moral high ground over me? I'll talk to you any fucking way I want. And they couldn't say anything. All they could do is feel offended. But yeah, like I said, you can expect that from these so-called individuals. And more often than not, oh boy, these so-called people were just human vermin that were beyond worthless. Because no self-respecting person will behave like that. You know better, okay? It's a give and take regarding respect from human being to human being, regardless of the aforementioned age, gender, class, none of that stuff matters. But like I said, these people, they simply have no other choice but to fall back on their impulses, which is gaslighting and manipulation. Because their parents treated them that way. Their parents would like wipe my feet, okay, take my food, or take I'm just done having dinner, take my plate away, wash it. They treated their children, people that essentially lived around the 1900s or the 20s or the 30s, they treated their children like that, a lot of them. They treated their children like slaves, essentially. They used their children as an outlet for their own shortcomings and their own frustrations and inhibitions and their own suffering in life. And as weak as their children were, they just continued the cycle. If I, for example, had children, just in a matter of speaking, are you kidding me? You think I would tolerate any of that? In no way, shape, or form would I tolerate that. Not a million gazillion years. Not. My children have the right to say or do whatever they want towards me, as long as it's within a specific human-to-human interaction-based context. They can speak their minds and say and do whatever they want, literally as in whatever they want. Okay, it does not matter the who, the where, the why, the what, and the how. It does not matter. They can do whatever, say whatever. They have the right to speak their minds within a polite context, obviously. I don't care how old they are. They can be 8 years old, 18 years old, 28 years old. It won't make me think any less of them or any more of them as in, oh, he's 28 years old now. He's a big boy. So yeah, no big boy. No. I don't care whether he's 8 years old. If what he's saying makes sense, then it makes sense. You know, my own children are allowed to call me out on my own bullshit and my own nonsense. And I have no problem with it. I would treat them like human beings with their own wants, needs, wishes, and desires in a respectful manner. The same manner that I demand to be treated. End of story. And I expect nothing less from them. But like I said, the whole idiotic concept of respecting your elders is a backwards notion. Generally speaking, yes, you can do so, but there are exceptions, just the likes of which I mentioned. If any elder behaves in a way that is similar to what I described, then they deserve to be mistreated, honestly. They deserve a verbal battering. They deserve to be verbally put in their place or otherwise. End of story. And let me see, what else was I going to bring up? So again, that whole thing is nonsense, okay? If someone's watching this that has this issue, don't fall for it. Don't be stupid to the point where you're seriously going to allow yourself to be manipulated like that. I already gave an example, like what women like to do. Okay, it's very similar. Women will rarely ask for help. For example, a woman will openly will make you notice that she has a woman will openly make you notice that she has difficulty or problems, and she needs help, but she will never openly just say, hey, can you please help me out, or anything like that. No, nothing, because she wants the moral high ground. She essentially wants to be able to say, hey, I never asked you for help, I never did this, I never did that. But obviously they implied it, because women by nature are, no offense to women, but women by nature are purely manipulative, honestly, really. And Yeah, every man in the world knows what I'm talking about. Even women know what I'm talking about. Not once in my life have I seen a woman ask for help. It's like when women, it's like also within romance, within the confines of romance. In my own personal life, only once or twice has a woman or have women hit on me, essentially made a romantic pass at me. Nope. Only once or twice. Every other woman was like, I like to call it the fisherman's mentality. They're like fishermen metaphorically. They throw out their fish hook with bait, and you're the fish as the man in this metaphor or analogy. You know, they expect you to bite. Okay, if a woman, most of the women, 90% of the women that like me in my life, they showed me that, hey, you know, if you want something, you know, let's just say the bar is open. Let's just put it that way. Okay, I'm here, you know, opening hours, I'm wide open. But there never did these women approach me and say, hey, I like you. Do you want to get something to drink? Do you want to do this? Do you want to hook up? No. Because they want to have the moral high ground. When it comes to like some kind of debate or discussion, they want to be able to say that, hey, I never approached him. No, nothing. He's the one that hit on me. He asked me for my number. He did this, he did that. It's just, I also find it idiotic, but you know, women are nuts. So yeah, don't need to say anything regarding that. But regarding the concept again of respecting your elders, that's pure nonsense. Okay, respect is something that is a human to human interaction, and it's give and take. Okay, at an existential level, regardless of age, gender, and whatnot, and it just goes on. Okay, before I close off, there's also another topic I'm going to briefly bring up as an extension to this video, which is the idiotic notion of some people as well that think that age is an accomplishment. Because there are people like that are that stupid. I've met one or two of them where they seriously thought that age was like an accomplishment, like it's and they actually tally all of it. They keep track of all of it numerically. I'm like, really? You know, I earned my stripes. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? You earned your stripes. You didn't earn anything. Being old is literally anything. It's like saying, hey, breeding is an accomplishment. Being old is nothing. A fucking boulder literally gets older by the second, and the boulder doesn't have to do anything about it. Every inanimate object in the world gets older. It essentially ages. The definition of aging, something aging. So I hope it was some stupid girl, and I was just told her, shut the fuck up, because you're as stupid as the day is long, even longer. You're a calendar worth of stupidity. You've got a calendar worth of stupidity in you. Just shut up and sit quiet. It was a former colleague of mine lifetimes ago. And I was like, wow, how can someone be so stupid to think that age is an accomplishment? But with her, it was the fact that she didn't want to be seen as a little girl anymore, or as a juvenile that was that essentially isn't respected. Because yeah, that happens to you. For one of the main reasons is the whole respecting your elders nonsense. You don't get respected when you're a child because people view you as a second-class citizen. I already brought this up in a video about age, and you can watch that if you want when this video ends, which is going to end almost right now. So yeah, that's just stupid. Okay, I mean, can you imagine that? Like, age is an accomplishment. By that logic, breeding is an accomplishment. By that logic, me doing this is an accomplishment. How stupid can someone be? But yeah, human stupidity has no limits, apparently. It's like a black hole, an ever-consuming black hole, an all-consuming black hole. Again, you literally don't have to do anything to age. So age is not an accomplishment. If anybody is so stupid and they're actually watching this video, you don't do shit to be old. So being old is not an accomplishment. Literally, you don't have to do anything to become older. So again, cut that nonsense out. Cut out that bullshit. So yeah, that's all. Let me know what your comments or suggestions are, if any, and I'll talk to you guys some other time. As always, bye bye.